Hello, and welcome to today's live broadcast and rebroadcast if you're catching us a little bit later today. Today, we are talking to our For Today's Aging community, and we are going to share with you some tips and tricks that we have for managing stress through the holidays. Let's face it, we're all super busy people on a day-to-day basis. When there are no holidays involved, then we start stacking on holidays and extra commitments and social obligations and all the things that we have to do to make the holidays what we hope they will be, and that is joyful and loving for all the people that we have around us. But trust me and trust Michael when we say, and when you get to that point, if you're stressed out and burnt out, it is far from being joyful and loving for your community. So we're going to share with you some things that we do during this time of year to make sure that we stay in check with ourselves, keeping our health on the forefront of our minds and making sure that we don't burn out in the process. So for me personally, and of course Michael too, because we're in this together, but how I really handle stress during these times is by creating a process of what I call pulling back and leaning in. And what I mean by that is I have really done an inventory of the areas where I may not necessarily be serving my biggest purpose, but I happen to just spend time there. And if it's a thing during this time of the year where I could pull back from it and not lose, those are the areas that I really do concentrate on making an effort very specifically to pull back and utilize that time in other areas. And then I lean in to the areas where I feel I am going to get the most out of the time that I spend there, or that the time that I'm spending on that thing is of value. And so for me, I have to have a nice balance even between personal life and business life, because my business is very demanding on my time, very demanding on my emotions. And this time of the year is when we really ramp up in the health and wellness and fitness industry. So I'm being very, very cautious and very conscious about where my energy is going and where my time is going, so that I'm also available on the personal side of my life as well, and I'm not breaking myself down in the process. So you will notice that in some areas of my social life, as far as business goes, that I've pulled back some. I'm not showing up on Instagram as much as I used to. I'm definitely not posting in my Instagram stories, because that is a time thing for me and an energy where I just feel like I'm not serving myself the best. Therefore, if I'm not serving me, I'm not serving you. And then I have energy and resources to apply somewhere else. We're in a major revamp of our business right now, leaning into 2020. We've got lots of new stuff on the horizon. So I also have to make sure that I have that energy for that as well. We just launched we actually launched it today. We're starting today. One of our biggest community courses for our intermittent fasting for today's aging woman. Those women have invested in their health and wellness, and I'm investing in their health and wellness as well. And so I have to make sure that I'm very purposeful about my energy and my health there as well. So take an inventory of your life, both personally and professionally, and decide the areas where you will serve your responsibilities at their best, and then find the areas where maybe you're just spending time, but the end result of that time may not be serving you or whatever it is your responsibilities are at their best. And then don't be afraid to pull back from those a little bit so that you can lean in to where you're going to be most effective.
Yeah, you definitely have to know when to pull back. I mean, for me, most of the year, I'm already a ball of stress anyway because I deal with anxiety all the time. I mean, if I start thinking about anxiety, it comes on. So I
Don't
already,
think about it.
I already have to deal with that. And then this time of year, it just piles on. You're dealing with, my folks just came into town, so you're trying to entertain. You have a college kid, we have a middle age, not middle age, middle school.
Yeah.
She's not middle aged yet. She's not that old. But we have a middle school daughter. So we have a lot of things on the plate. We have business stuff. We have like all kinds of things that you're dealing with. And then as your parents are getting older, like we all are dealing with that too. Like you start planning, like what we had those discussions this week. Like how do you deal with as your parents get older, like you have to have that talk with them,
Right.
like what are you going to do? Like, what is your trust? What is your funeral plans and these things? And that can be very, very
And
stressful.
often those conversations come up around the holidays because that's when you see those people,
Right.
where we don't see, we don't live in the same state, so we don't see my in-laws, his parents, as often as we'd like. So when you get them, you have the holidays, the stress of the holidays, and then you have to bring up these, stressful life conversations as well. So all of that can be very taxing on us emotionally. And if we feel emotionally drained and taxed, that's when we start to break down and start to get sick and those kind of things around this time of year as well.
So you have to find ways to pull back.
Right.
And for us, I mean, there's some things that we've been practicing going into the holidays. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago about doing some breathing techniques, and we've been doing that regularly, and that really seems to help. Uh, and I know for me personally, I can't do the coffee in this state that I'm in. I mean, because I'm intermittent fasting and I'm working out like to the max, so I think the oxidative stress of trying to do it all, and it feels great. My workouts are great, my health is great, the fasting, everything with that is great. The whole lifestyle, I love it. But you have to know that, if your cortisol levels are starting to rise and you have this oxidative stress, you have to know you have to pull back. Like I haven't worked out all week. And
No,
it's
we
like,
have. We're walking.
yeah, we're walking,
Yeah.
but I'm talking like I'm not
Yeah.
walking into the gym, but we've been walking. So that's just a change. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's a different way of working out.
So
we
we've-
had a really, really intense walk yesterday.
So we're pulling back on some of that higher intensity type of fitness that we're accustomed to, and because if you follow me on Instagram, I share a lot of that, and I haven't been showing up there because we've changed what it is that we're doing right now to preserve some of our energy and to make sure that we're not overstressing our body with all the other things that we're trying to mentally and emotionally and physically handle. So we've been getting outside, getting ourselves in some fresh air. The weather here has been great, knock on wood. It's been sunny and somewhat warm. We've been listening to podcasts. So we're taking that sacred time that we have for working out and really maximizing it by getting outside, having our time together, listening to a podcast, and getting our fitness in at the same time. And so think about some of those type of things too when you're leaning back to lean in, or pulling back to lean in, is we've pulled back somewhat on our exercise routine from what it normally is, but we're leaning in to time together, de-stressing with a podcast, getting outside, getting some fresh air, and then adding our walk on top of that.
And if it's 70 degrees in Texas
In December, you get outside.
You have to be outside because that could turn on a dime.
Yeah. And so when you don't have these plans in place to pull back and lean in very specifically because you've done your inventory of all the demands that you have, what happens generally is we tend to check out, numb out, and then disconnect from what it is that the holiday season is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a time of joy. It's supposed to be a time where you appreciate the people that you're with and you are appreciative of the time that you have together. But if you enter that time broken down, numbed out, feeling resentful, possibly sick, or stressed out and have anxiety, symptoms creep up on you, then the joy is lost. So we really encourage you to have a plan, do a little inventory. Where is your time and energy best suited this time of year? Lean into that. And then identify the areas in your life where it's just maybe time that you're investing, but it's not going to be the best investment in the long run right now. And then pull back from those things, and then figure out ways that you can combine some really healthy habits to keep your sanity and your health during this time. And what we're doing with our fitness is a great example of that. So take that if that can serve you as well. Get outside. If you're feeling disconnected from your spouse, go for a walk. Like, we can walk together and listen to a podcast and come back feeling totally connected to each other because we share the same podcast and we're engaged in the same activity. And so that's a great way to get centered and reconnected as well. Just breathing fresh air sometimes, especially for those of us who are seasonal depressive type of people like myself. I know my whole mood changes once I get back in from an outside whatever it is. Maybe it's just working in the yard or going to get the mail sometimes is enough to spruce up my mood because I got some fresh air and some sunshine.
Yeah, and sometimes I think you have to get back. We talk about it a lot here, getting back to the basics. I mean, you have to get back to the basics, and sometimes we're in denial about just some basic things like getting good sleep, drinking your water. I mean, these things are pretty basic, and we all know these things, but we still don't do them. And I think when you do these basic things that we already know how to do, you're gonna feel better. Like
Right.
I've talked to people, I've talked to guys that friends of mine that have anxiety issues, and they drink 5 cups of coffee a day. Well, that's probably not a good idea. If you're dealing with anxiety and stress, you might want to just like cut the coffee for. I mean, try cutting it for 30 days and see how you feel. But you can't have it both ways.
Right.
You can't not sleep, drink a lot of coffee, and then you start like we haven't had alcohol since September. So we're not like amping up and then having our little downer with the alcohol night. So you're like in this rhythm of your body doesn't know if it's coming or going, and you're trying to figure out where's all this stress coming from? Why do I have so much stress?
Right.
So you're going to have stress anyway, but when you add on top of that things that are going to maybe overstimulate you, that are going to make you feel even worse, you probably should take a chill on it.
Yeah, for sure. And so, we don't think about these things unless we purposely create a thought process around it and some activity. So I would highly recommend creating a list. We make pros and cons lists all the time. We run things through our head. We have conversations about it, like what things are just time sucks for us right now and not really serving our purpose, and can we pull back from that so we can put our energy and resources into something else. And it's okay to be selfish during this time of giving, right? So you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of others. I'm a firm believer in that. And so if you aren't taking care of yourself, then are you really serving the people that you love the best? And I always say take heart in that thought as well, and really take that seriously, because a broken down person can't help anyone, including themselves. So don't be afraid to be a little bit selfish with your time there as well. And I know that there's also like a lot of family obligations and expectations. Make sure you're building boundaries around that as well. If the expectations and the requirements that your family have for you don't fit into your personal boundary space, that's okay. Communication is the best way to really resolve those kind of conflicts, because again, if you're just showing up or you're just fulfilling an obligation out of guilt, or because you're feeling pressured to do so and you're not coming in with your whole heart, then you're cheating yourself and the people that you're with, and that builds that resentment and that builds that pain that we often numb with outside agents, so we can just decompress from that in a different way. So don't be afraid to open the lines of communication if something around the holidays is not working for you and doesn't fit within your own personal boundaries. And then just, make sure that the person on the other end knows that you love them and that you appreciate all that they're doing. It just isn't serving you, and that you can find a way to participate in another way. That is always the best way.
We've all spent time with toxic people, and we know that that's probably not a good idea, to do, as far as dealing with stress.
Right.
But we tend to do it, like you said, out of obligation. We feel like, well, we always have, we may as well continue to do that, when it's not necessarily what you should do.
Right. Okay. So let's, Tammy, it's good to have you here. She's lost 14 pounds. I believe you are a November course member. So that's amazing. Teresa, good to have you as well. Hopefully you're enjoying this amazing Texas weather that we're having. Patrice, this topic is right on time. I'm stressed during this time of year because of family expectation and events, which requires socializing with people I don't know. I'm introverted. That's very interesting to make that you've connected those two things, and you know that you're an introvert. So serve you first, because that is not something that you want to neglect if that's how you feel. So don't be afraid to show up late. Don't be afraid to leave early. Like I said, just communicate with the people that you're socializing with so that they know what the expectations are from you, and then serve you and your personality. Go out and take a walk. walk during the middle of an event if that's what you have to do to be alone. Go sit in your car. Just excuse yourself for a little while. Go sit in your car to recoup. I am an extrovert, and Michael tends to be on an outgoing introvert side. So I am the girl that wants to show up first to the party. I want to show up last to the party, or be the one that's last to leave. I want to socialize with everybody there. The longer the party goes, the more people that are there, the more energized I am. And Michael's the guy that likes to go to the party and leave after 2 hours. He's done. And so we've also had to kind of come to an agreement with our own events that we go to and socializing to make sure he's not tapped out and I'm not overstaying his welcome, and that he also serves the needs that I have to be around people and be at an event for a certain amount of time. So make sure that whoever it is that you're spending time with knows that about you, and they can help serve that side of what your needs are as well. And then it's totally okay to just excuse yourself from somewhere when you've had enough, for sure. Right?
Yep.
Okay, and let's see. Tina, I'm in Dallas, Texas for the weekend for a conference. So I'm hoping to get outside while I'm here. Yeah, girlfriend, do please, because the weather right now is absolutely gorgeous. So make sure you take advantage of that while you're here. And welcome to Dallas. It's a great time of the year to be here. And then Leanne, good to see you again as well. So these are our tips. Don't let the holidays be the thing that's going to break you down or stress you out. When you go into a holiday season or a giving season or a loving season or even a socializing season with people that you may not see all the time and you only have a very specific time to be with them, be your best. And that means you have to take care of you first. You have to guard what it is that keeps you healthy and keeps you happy and keeps you mentally and emotionally on your best level. Because like I said, no one wants to spend time with someone who's broken down and showing up just because they have to be there and their heart is not there with them. Don't be afraid to serve you first. Don't be afraid to take care of yourself first. There's going to be plenty of obligations, or opportunities rather, for you to serve others when you have the opportunity to do so. But don't rob yourself just to get that done. Right?
Okay, and on YouTube we have Tammy
I already did all
Oh,
those.
you already did all those? Okay, so
Yeah.
you already did.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were
So
on.
Tammy, have you heard of Swerve sugar replacement supposed to not have an insulin reaction? Yeah, there's so many of those out today, and there's always pros and cons with everything. So we personally don't use it. There are people who've used it and absolutely loved it. There are people who use it and feel like they have some bodily function issues with it. So again, if it's a thing that you feel like you want to experiment with, I always say go ahead and experiment with it. But remember, anything that's going to add a sweetness to something is going to also create that desire for you to have more sweetness in things. So just be heads up about that. I always say anything you add into your lifestyle, make sure that the benefits greatly outweigh the risks. And I would say the risks for this would be just the fact that you have that sugar craving and that need to satisfy something sweet, and that's going to be an ongoing urge that you have. If you can handle that and create boundaries around that, I say go for it. It's not going to be a hindrance to you. If you feel like it's becoming a hindrance, Swerve would be the first thing that I would kick out for sure. But I've heard definite pros and cons for it. It's a personal body chemistry thing. I would give it a shot if you feel like that's what you need. Right?
Yep.
All right. Well, that's our tips for managing the stress during the holidays. Make sure you move your body as well. Moving your body is a great way to alleviate stress. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. We've talked about that this week with Alzheimer's. You want to make sure that you're not depriving your brain of what it needs to sleep. Get your water in, especially during this time of the year. We are dehydrated here in Texas in the winter months, so we actually up our water intake during these winter months to make sure that we don't end up getting dehydrated. And then always know that you can just fast your way out of a stressful situation, and then just make sure that when you feast, you're feasting with food that will satisfy your body, and that you're not just picking foods that are going to satisfy a need or a want. I guess a want would be the better way to say that. That's emotionally connected and not a physical need that you have for your body.
And there's something we learned from a podcast that's really interesting. Is I didn't know this. I don't think Diane knew this either. That when it comes to stress and anxiety in particular, that the area of our brain that is affected when it comes to anxiety is the same area that's affected when you walk. And so if you're out and you're doing a walk, that's going to occupy that space, if that's the right way to say it, like you're going to control the anxiety if you're walking, because your brain, the walk is going to take over that area of your brain. So whenever you start to feel that anxiety, try going for a walk, even if it's within your house, or if you can get outside of your house and go for a walk, you're going to feel different.
Yeah. So I think it was the same like chemical reaction or brain reaction to anxiety or anxious type situations is also where you house the same chemical or brain type reaction when you walk. So one offsets the other. I always say our body's constantly ebbing and flowing. And so anxiety could be this and walking could be this, and you can find yourself doing this. Or you can use a walk to bring that anxiety back down. And like, Michael just said, it could just be moving around your home, walking up and down the stairs. Not everything has to be, a sponsorship from Nike in order to be a physical activity. Not everything means you have to register for some event somewhere. Just figure out ways that you can move your body within the confines of where you live. Make sure you have an opportunity to move your body with the resources that you have already. You do not have to make a major life overhaul to just start moving. Just start moving. And I think sometimes we get overwhelmed with, what we think we're supposed to be doing with the gym membership or a personal trainer or investing in equipment or even buying new workout clothes or shoes. Do with what you have and just start. And then when you start to find the passion and the love for it and you start to see the benefits of it, then you can start adding to your inventory, or then you can start investing in it. But oftentimes we do it the other way around, and we invest first and we don't find the love and passion for it, and then we strike that up as another thing that failed us. Find the success first and then make the investment.
But try it, and you will feel a remarkable difference. Also, like just sweeping the floor. I mean, sometimes I feel it most if I'm sitting down. I get up, I start sweeping the whole house, man. I'm good. Okay, so just get up and move.
I secretly stress him out, so he'll sweep the floor. No, I'm just kidding.
So she sees me sweeping, she's like, okay, what's up?
Yeah, what's up? She's stressed out. But that's why I always advise that to women too, like who don't know what to do with exercise, or they're feeling like they're not fit enough to start on something, is you can vacuum your home every day. You can mop your floors every day. You can go into your garage and rearrange things. You can move furniture around. Like, you can dust. Like, there are ways that you can create movement and chemical changes in your body without necessarily engaging in an organized fitness event. Just move, walk, sweep, dust, mop,
clean
vacuum,
the pool. I've never felt stressed out cleaning the pool.
Right. Clean your jacuzzi.
Even with all those leaves in there.
Clean your pool, rake the yard, sweep the sidewalk. Whatever it is, just move, and let's make it less complicated. Let's take away all the roadblocks. Let's take all of those excuses away and uncover some of the reasons why it is we should be moving our body more. We know now it helps with Alzheimer's. We know now it helps with anxiety. We know now it helps with fasting. We know now it's anti-aging. We know now that we can reverse the anatomy of our brain by just sending blood flow up into our brain, and that happens through movement. So excuses gone, reasons in, just move your body.
Yep.
And you'll start to notice that
absolutely.
changes for sure. Linda from Cali, May 2019 graduate. Thank you for all the great hints. The holidays can be tough with everyone abandoning their usual eating habits to splurge on goodies and holiday potlucks. Yeah, I always went to potlucks when I was involved in that arena with work, and I would always just say, oh, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, and I would engage with people and socialize, and I didn't have to eat anything. So don't abandon your personal boundaries to please someone who doesn't really care about what you're doing in that moment anyway. So take the self-conscious part of it away, take the guilt away, and put your priorities first and foremost, and then just stick with that for sure. And then Tammy, you are so welcome. It's been awesome to walk with you through this journey. Awesome, I love it. And then Ask Dr. Bonnie, you're welcome, girlfriend. And I answered all your emails today that you sent me as well. So look forward to having you jump into class with us in December. Okay, so we're gonna jump off here. We're gonna go pick our daughter up from school. We're gonna enjoy our weekend. We hope that you guys enjoy your weekend as well. For all my December course students, welcome. You're officially in your community. We'll start class tomorrow morning with our live welcome and Q&A at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And all my November students, you know that you have been invited to jump back in with us in December as well. So I'm super excited to have both groups with us. All course registrations for 2019 are now officially closed. So if you missed out, we're super sorry. Email me. We have some exceptions that we can make for a few people for the next couple of days. But after that, we're going to send everyone to a wait list for 2020, where we will be revamping our intermittent fasting for today's Aging Woman course and updating it for 2020. So stay tuned for that information as well. And then we'll see you guys on Monday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we'll be back for another discussion about Alzheimer's, which is the subject that we'll be covering for the month of December.
Have a good weekend.